Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Kate from Chrysalis Health and Wellbeing, bringing you to a series of holistic wellbeing interviews that I'm doing each week with amazing ladies who have their own businesses in the hills, offering holistic health and wellness programs and sessions for deep healing and resolving past issues. So today I have with me the wonderful Brenda, and Brenda operates Quintessence, well, amongst other things. She operates Quintessence, which is a holistic health coach. Would you say you're a coach, Brenda?
What am I? I'm definitely, that's what I call myself now, a health coach or a holistic health coach for women particularly, but men, we like to look after our men as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But she's an amazing, wise woman. So thank you for being here today. I really appreciate your time. And Brenda's got so much to offer. She's amazing. And as you will find out as we progress through the interview. So thank you again, Brenda. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Kate. I'm really grateful that we can come together for this discussion to help people.
Yeah, and I think this is like the time where we've had the most traumatic, frustrating, bewildering year, and we're just trying to make sense of everything. And I think it's, we've had to stop and slow down for a brief amount of time, and I think there'll be some people out there who are really questioning what's going on for them, looking at things that they might not have had a chance to look at before, personal issues. So, I think there's definitely a lot.
I think it's I believe I choose to see it as a positive thing. I think maybe the universe is conspiring to move us forward, or I don't know, but certainly we have all together been forced into change, if not quiet time. For some women particularly, it hasn't been quiet time. They've been working and schooling and it hasn't been a rest at all. But now the kids go back, but it's still been a chance to reflect, and we have now the choice to do something with that reflection or not, and then perhaps waste the opportunity. And I think that, Kate, you and I are here because we want to support the people who go, you know what, I really don't want to keep doing the same thing I'm doing. I want to do something different, but maybe I don't know what or where to start, or
absolutely
what's next. And that's our job to guide, I think, and lead the way.
Absolutely. And I like to think that there's opportunity in every crisis, definitely. Even when things feel like they're falling apart, relationships may be in question, everything comes to like a block in the road. I really believe that there's a portal there, there's a way through. But as you say, it's just, how do I start? And what am I doing? I get a lot of, in my counseling sessions, I get a lot of really existential stuff like, who am I? How did I get here?
Yeah, it's deep, isn't it?
It is. It's really deep stuff.
Well, it's happened to me. It's happened to me, and I mean, we can get into that later.
Yeah.
let's go deep straight away, right?
And this is why I wanted to interview you, because we are so like-minded. We just go straight there.
Bang, let's get to the guts of it, right?
Oh, yeah. But maybe a little bit about Brenda, first of all. Like, how did you come to be in this space? What led you here?
Well, the first qualification that I got, and look, there's been a few of them, as you can.
Beautiful.
I became a naturopath, and in my teens I had an eating disorder, and it made me interested in nutrition, and I started looking into courses, and I discovered through a course manual that somebody put out back then. For some reason, it had strange naturopathic colleges in there as well. And I'd gotten into university to do biochemistry, but I had no idea what that was, or in hindsight, it would have actually been a really great thing to do because I absolutely love biochemistry. But at the time, it was like, nah, not doing that, and decided to study naturopathy. So moved to Sydney with my man, and commenced 4 years of full-time naturopathic study. Back then, it wasn't covered by anything, and that's 1989. So that's 30 years ago. So the journey started there.
Wow.
It's where I discovered homeopathy, which, for those of you who don't know much about homeopathy, it really is a very advanced system of medicine. It's just under spiritual healing, really.
Yes, I'd never thought of it like that. But
it's energetic medicine in a bottle.
Yeah.
Where I learned, people types and the emotions that created tendencies to diseases and all this magic stuff, which, our everyday medical system doesn't really, they don't go there.
They don't even know, I don't think. They just don't have the training.
They don't, no, and that they have their forte in our culture. They've got, in our society, their acute medicine, their diagnostic skills. I mean, they're just amazing at certain things. But in this deeper stuff around healing, they don't have these skills. But this is, and I discovered nutrition, and I discovered herbal medicine, which at the time was a kind of little interest, but it has since become another passion. And I think what I connected with was that nature was the source of, nature and the universe for me are kind of, connected. God, the nature of things, and nature. There's some connections there, and that really started to open my heart and my mind. I was very dysfunctional at the time, very immature. When I finished, the idea of becoming a practitioner was like ridiculous. I just didn't have enough of myself together to be able to support other people. At the time, I didn't really realise that, but I went straight into working for Blackmores, and I did really well there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 years of working at Blackmores. I helped them start up their hotline. We just started with 1-800 numbers in the world.
Wow.
And so we had one, and it went from like 2 of us sort of part-time to a team of about 16 naturopaths taking advice.
Goodness me. Within that 6 years?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
amazing.
We were dishing out advice all day. It was really amazing. It really grounded me in questioning and the philosophy of just I think really we aimed to give people 3 remedies, and it was basically a mineral, a herb, and something else. And I try to stick to that within limits in my practice as well, because I know some naturopaths who are very symptomatic kind of naturopaths, some of them prescribe, and the integrative GPs will do this too. Some of them will prescribe, 8, 10, 12 supplements. Ooh. And I can see where that comes from. You think, the blood test says you're low in vitamin D, so you take a vitamin D. You're low in B12, you take a B12. I can see where they're coming from, but I don't work really like that. And similar to you, Kate, it's always that curiosity for root cause.
Absolutely. And then, so that leads to, well, if you're going to pile all these supplements in, and they're good. Like, I absolutely advocate for supplements because of mineral deficiencies in the soil, et cetera, et cetera. But it's ultimately about how they can absorb that in the gut. And maybe we could go down the gut path and talk all about that too. But the importance of the gut being able to process and utilize and assimilate all of those.
Yeah, and some people can't, especially the ones who are really quite ill, with the chronic fatigue, where there's really just not even enough energy to digest.
Yeah.
Or the digestive system's in complete shambles and the ability to break down. And so, that's my underlying passion and love for food grew from there as well. I think with an eating disorder, I had an obsession with food and an addiction, I suppose you could say. And that transformed into more of an obsession with healthy food, and then has since really morphed and moved into a very healthy passion for food. And it's really taken me back, to our ancestors and to the wise traditions diet, which is the one that I advocate. And you call me a wise woman, and I get told that all the time, and I quite like that, actually. I think I've earned those stripes now that I'm on the better side of 50. Some people are at the wrong side of 50. I don't think that's the case at all. But in fact, I don't know what your thoughts are on eating disorders, Kate, but one of my theories is that it's our disconnection from food, from our mothers aren't in the kitchen nurturing us with the psychological mothering, psychological, I was going to say nipple. Can I say that one?
Yes, let's call it for what it is. Yes, there's a real, and Brenda and I were talking about ancestral linkages just before we started recording, and how important it is, like, to track, or that it is possible to track the breaks in the attachment, which is like the relationship between parent and child. And that is what you're saying pretty much, is that there's something really missing, something happened to cause it. Nothing happens by accident.
No, it doesn't. And almost you can almost look at what's happened, and if you have the right kind of eyes, you can see what the remedy is. You can see what the problem is, and therefore the solution. And it was in the 70s that, remember Karen Carpenter? She had anorexia, died of it. This was kind of the first time, AIDS was coming in, and all the eating disorders were coming in, but at the same time, women were being indoctrinated, if you like, to get out of the kitchen. Being in the kitchen wasn't really, being a homemaker wasn't really a valuable role. And so we've got, and I know I'm in my 50s, and I know some of the younger ones in their 30s grew up with mothers who said, no, you go and do your homework, you get yourself an education, I'll make dinner, or I'll be in the kitchen. And so those women grew up without any real connection to their kitchen either. I really believe the kitchen is a sanctuary. It's a healing place. My kitchen has become about cultivating kombucha and sourdough starter, and it's a factory. It's a dispensary. It's an apothecary.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it, and I own it. Right? I'm the sovereign of the kitchen. It's my place in the home, and it's very empowering for me around food and creating meals that are so joyful and nourishing, because nourishing is often the tastiest.
Totally. Yeah, and I really believe that, and it's made with love, that you can feel that, the energy of that coming through.
Well, we just had a webinar with a whole food chef, Holly Davis, and
Yes.
she reminded me that love and I think it was appreciation are nutrients in themselves. And I totally agree. I think
utterly.
I think if we eat something exactly the same as a bought one that's made in a factory and one that's made by mum or ourselves or whatever, there's something tastier and more special about the homemade one. Not that there's, I don't think we need to be anti-factory everything. In fact, it's probably not great to be anti anything, really. I mean, we can embrace factory foods for what they can offer. But it's a bit like supplements. Supplements are meant to supplement a diet. They're meant to be the 10 or 20% that you can't quite reach. Whereas the majority of the healing comes from the nature-made product, like the apple or the bone broth or the butter or whatever it is. That's got to be the 80%. And I understand it's difficult because some people don't like cooking, or they've disconnected from it, or they don't have any great experiences of it anymore.
Yes.
And it's like, well, let's heal that. Let's rebuild the relationship to the kitchen and start with some small wins. And I've educated my man. When I first met him, he had like a repertoire of about 3 things, and he had a terrible perspective on it. He's like, no, just I'll do the cleaning up, you just do this. And now I can say, and I do this deliberately, if I'm not home or I'm away for a week or a weekend, or I don't organize anything. I don't know. It's like, you can do whatever you want. You can have takeaway if you want, but often he'll try something, or for our stepdaughter my stepdaughter, he'll make something, and he's like transformed. He's like, oh, I can make waffles, I can make pancakes, so I think that it's great.
Awesome, fantastic.
And I guess I haven't answered your question completely. So I was a naturopath. I did tons of personal development where the deeper stuff started to happen for me. A lot of it was in the mind, though. It's a lot of mental, IQ-based stuff. And I found in the end that that was all right for a while, but I needed to go deeper into more of the EQ and the SQ, the emotional intelligence and the spiritual intelligence. I studied life coaching in the early 2000s. I think 2005 I graduated with that. Went back, and because I'd been out of practice or out of the industry as a naturopath, to be able to come back to it, I had to re-qualify. And so I did another 3 years.
Wow,
I know,
tough.
all the money I've spent. I did another 3 years and upgraded to an advanced diploma of nutrition and an advanced diploma of naturopathy. And the degrees weren't quite in at that time. Plus, I really wanted to go to a naturopathic college and not a university, because I appreciate the value that colleges offer outside of the mainstream education model. And then a few other things. I did some shamanic studies. I did more personal development, traveled, went to Africa and all kinds of things. And then the last bit of it was more of the spiritual side of things. So I studied aromatherapy, became a clinical aromatherapist, because I really love the what do you call it? The quantum physics side of essential oils, the energetics.
Fascinating.
And the art of feminine presence. So a key thing that I teach is the art of feminine presence, which is about embodiment. So as you would know, Kate, it's the avoidance of emotions that often gets us into trouble. If we can just feel them. Yes. I know I'm speaking about your territory here, so you can, over to you, you can comment.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I find when I do holistic counselling and energy healing as well. And the trauma factor is huge. people don't like necessarily the word trauma, so we'll call it emotional distress, and people tend to relate to that because they can feel it still, and it doesn't just go away. These emotions that are, the human psyche has an amazing way of protecting itself from pain and danger and threat. Amazing. In fact, to a fault, really.
Yes. Yes.
So we end up with all these presentations, physical illnesses, emotional illnesses, illnesses of the mind, and without getting carried away by it all. Yeah. And when I do my energy healing, I can feel where those emotions are stuck in their energy body, and I can usually pick up what it's about, what it's relating to vaguely. Like I go into just what's needed right then and there to clear. So there'll be a layered approach to it. We get rid of one layer and then we do the embodiment work, the processing of what's coming up. And it could be there's a negative core concept about the self that has either come down through the ancestral line or has been gathered up unconsciously in childhood in some way. And so we work to clear that. Wow. But it's just like, I'm just thinking all of these issues that are present, it just, we have to go in and confront. It's scary. It's really scary. Confront what's going on. And that creates like when you come up to face it, it then opens like a doorway into something else, so that you're processing and resolving what's been there, what's been trying to get your attention for so long. And then it opens into new possibilities, absolutely, without a doubt.
Well, my naturopathic take on it all is that the conditions, symptoms, diseases that we manifest are a representation of that unprocessed emotion. So, our higher self or whatever says, well, you're not really listening to me, you're doing too much, you're trying to please everyone else, you're not healing your trauma from when you were 6, and you're not listening to me that you need to do something. I'm going to make you exhausted, or I'm going to give you a big, sore big toe, or and so for me, it's seeing that there's a kindness in that, even though we're in discomfort or pain or whatever. There's this thing is trying to teach you how to move forward, so that you can actually have the joy that is available to you as a human being. Yeah, and absolutely. Similarly to what you're talking about, a veil opens, a veil parts, and they're able to, it's like, oh, wow, something new becomes available. And, and it's interesting how that happens, Kate, because sometimes I'll just give the right herb or the right bark flower or the right homeopathic, or even say something, and it happens that in between sessions, it happens. It's like they come back and they say, oh, I decided to da-da-da-da, and I'm going, wow.
Yes.
And other times it needs to be, because of the scariness or the aloneness or the whatever is in the way, it needs to be cajoled, or so I feel sometimes like an interpreter. It's not an accident that your uterus is inflamed, or it's not an accident that you have IBS. There's something in the condition, in the picture, that's telling you what's not working. So in uterus, you've got, it's female, very female. Same with breast. it's often to do with something about our femininity, about our perspective on being a woman. And, you know, we live in a fairly patriarchal society, so it's not surprising that those, that, you know, that women, the feminine wants to express itself, and it comes through perhaps dysfunctionally first until
Yes.
it can come through in a way that is like full beautiful self-expression. And I just find women don't even really know what that is exactly. They don't really know what it is to be fully feminine, and because our culture kind of diminishes the value of it. So it's like, oh, well, what? No, it's weak to be a woman. It's weak to cry. It's weak to be needy. All these things. It's weak to be passive. It's, you know, yeah, we're in the low paid jobs. We're in the nursing, caring, healing, woo-woo professions, and, you know, we don't make the mega bucks. And so that tells you what's valued in our culture. And
yeah,
so,
doesn't it just?
you know, it's like, I'm sure the same with you. You're kind of reframing people's perspectives and helping them to find the silver linings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very difficult from the depths of wherever you've been to be able to see, or to even be able to hope. Like a lot of, I see mostly women who just like, I'm not sure I have hope anymore. And that's terrible to be here and to not be able to grasp even that, let alone, you know, joy. Don't know what joy is.
No. Well, and you know, I think it's that sacred responsibility of the healer types in the culture, like you and I, who have done our own work and who are doing our own work, to guide the ones that are coming up behind us, and that we're following along the ones who've gone before us, and that, you know, we're taking each other with us. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. And taking, yeah, it's like we're, you know, I don't know where I get my gift from. And if I've had an ancestor maybe in the past who's a bit psychic, or was a herbal woman or whatever.
You mean a witch?
Yes, a witch. Let's not start talking about past life stuff.
I know, oh my God. Yes, her life ended. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. But yes, I'll take it. And you know, I think it's honoring as well, learning to honor when you start shifting stuff and moving stuff. It's really a space for you to learn about who you really are and what you've got. As I'm convinced that we all come in with something, an offering or a way of, yeah, just
definitely,
whatever it is. Whatever it is.
I mean, as we do, we're always looking for sources of wisdom. And I actually listened for a while to some, I suppose you call them lectures, really, from the Bible. And there's some really great stuff in there around this topics, you know, that we have spiritual gifts. And, you know, for some people, it's the gift of the gab. For some people, it's healing. Some people, it's teaching. Some people, it's, you know, and it's so, you know, it's not like a profession. In our model currently, it's more, oh, well, you know, it's professions, and sometimes they don't fit that well. You know, you can have the gift of the gab and be in sales, or you could be, you know, a preacher, or you could be an inspirational speaker or something. And yeah, I think it's, and I don't know about you, but I do a lot of trying to not trying, but feeding back to people the gifts that I see in them, so they can start to see their own gifts.
Absolutely. Yeah. absolutely. That's definitely a big part of it as well. So how do you do that? Do you do that with sessions? Do you offer programs? I know you've got a lot of things that you do, and you offer beautiful things like this thing you did last night with the natural, going back to basics, cooking. And so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I have spent most of my career in corporate. So I was in corporate health, and all health, like Blackmores and a couple of other organisations. And in between, I do other staff adventures and practice for a while, and then come back to corporate. For whatever reason, that was my journey. And so 18 months ago, just a little under, that was the end of that. That stage of my life has completed, that like really completed.
Okay.
And so I'm in the growth phase of my practice and my business, which I absolutely love. And starting out as a naturopath, it's the clinical model, it's the doctor-patient kind of model, which
Sure.
I've morphed a little bit into the coaching model, because I prefer that client or student-teacher kind of relationship rather than
Yes.
doctor-patient, which some people don't have great experiences with that. And so definitely the one-on-one is a large part of it, but to make it accessible to people. And also I find that the one-to-one isn't always the best environment for teaching things. Sometimes the group environment is way more powerful, because you get more diverse perspectives and input from other energies and so on. But also with nutrition's a really tricky thing. I don't want to have to send everyone off to get a nutrition degree in order to be able to cook meals for themselves. And so I'm the chapter leader for the Western Price Foundation. And as part of that, that's kind of it's a charity. So it's part of my giving back is to host these quarterly events. And when that first happened, I really didn't understand Western Price Foundation principles. That's the Wise Traditions diet very well. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? I'll get these other people to come in and I'll learn from them. And that's worked out really wonderfully well. The one we had with Holly Davis was just a gift. It was amazing.
Beautiful.
It was, I loved it. The feedback has been amazing. I mean, it was fairly advanced. She was talking about, fairly advanced cooking techniques, and in terms of, having master stocks and making your own kombucha. It was, but I don't know, it's coming back. It's that wise woman in the kitchen concept. And then what I'm doing is I'm working into creating programs. So I say to people, I need 3 months, even if it's just pure naturopathy from a symptom perspective. I need 3 months. So don't come once or twice and think that you're going to be fixed, because I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And
so I say to people, I need 3 months. And you can either pay one at a time, which for some people it works, or I have some programs that are 3-month programs. I've developed a 6-month perimenopause program.
Wonderful.
And that's in the making. So that's my next step. And I think and that'll be what I'm trying to do is set up. I've got the Art of Feminine Presence training, which is my presence training, and that's a really great tool for women to have as a. It's the embodiment technique. Yes, mindfulness, meditation, it's all in that realm. So that's kind of the spiritual intelligence side of things. And then the nutrition lectures are for physical intelligence, so getting your body right. Emotional stuff, I probably send them to you, Kate, or somebody similar. for working through the childhood stuff, or I don't. It's not really my area of interest and expertise. And then so the package will the programs will include a little bit of all of that, so that it's teaching people to fish. That's what it's.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's medicine does have its place, no question about it. But I really feel that this is the way that we're going to be heading into, is more the spiritual side of things.
Definitely. And
all that, the emotional side of things, going back to putting a few veggies in your garden, and learning the techniques to produce nutritious, wholesome food.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's just reminding people of that, and letting them know that that's actually valuable. It's actually a valuable thing. But and it gets a little bit pricey for people. So my goal next is to create the group programs. Maybe start with a 6-week, or 6 weeks, 3 months, but then eventually a 6-month one that's a bunch of us working together to support each other. And I'm very excited about that next adventure, and it'll birth itself. It's I don't have to rush. I mean, the thing that I've got out of COVID-19 has been a slowing down and a time for reflection, like everyone. And there are, right now, I'm actually making quite important decisions of what I'm letting go. There's
fabulous.
And it's creating these pockets of space here now for me to create more support for, and might be collaborating with people like yourself to do something that.
Yes, please.
Do something that. There's so many opportunities, so many possibilities.
Absolutely.
We've got the internet. You can do free stuff. You can do minimally paid stuff. You can do the one-on-one stuff is deeply personal for both of us. As you would know, Kate, you as the facilitator, or whatever you want to call us, it's also deeply involving, because we're doing our own work. Our clients are our mirrors. We're doing our own work. And that is, for us to survive financially, that is by its nature a high-priced item, because, we also have to pay the rent. We also have to buy food. We also need to have clothes on our back and a holiday every now and then, So, and I don't know about you, but I can't do 50 clients a week. I can't.
You cannot, with integrity, be in that space consistently, because we both give so much of ourselves in every session, and it doesn't just end at the end of each session either. There's follow-ups and planning and tuning in to the client, because energetically we're then connected.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'll review afterwards and I'm thinking, I shouldn't have said that, or I could have said that better, or I said that just popped out of my mouth. Maybe that's my own stuff. Maybe I should go and do some work on that. What I should maybe I should meditate, or maybe maybe my blood sugars were low and I shouldn't. It's hard work. But I love it. I love it. I just love my life. I adore.
And that, knowing where we're at, it's like, I wouldn't, would we want to give that to other people to be able to step into that too? It is possible. It is absolutely possible to go from feeling like the worst person in the world, feeling like the world's against you, feeling like everything's on top of you. It is absolutely possible to transform that. it takes work. It's not a magic wand. There's no silver bullet, but it's absolutely worth it.
Well, I do a lot with menopause, as you know. I love working with the menopausal journey from the more the shamanic kind of perspective and rites of passage and all that stuff. And what you would have found as well, Kate, is that if you haven't done a little bit of your work, then when you hit menopause or your late 40s, usually it's kind of like it's all bumped up, and the pressure of it, like a blockage in a dam, you know, it starts to build and build and build, and then you can resist and you can resist. And Dr. Christiane Northrup, she says if you haven't dealt with it, the classic things that happen are depression, heart disease, and breast cancer. And if you think about those, I mean, depression is often stuff not being dealt with, suppressed emotions. Heart disease, it's the heart. The heart is not happy. And then breast cancer, the breast being the feminine. So, you know, if you want to avoid those things, it's not just taking antioxidants or eating a clean diet and pooping every day, but it's also you can't actually avoid that work. It isn't the easy way out, really, to avoid finding yourself. And that it's kind of like that's what we're here for, and you can resist it for a while, but it'll catch up with you one way or another. And if you really, really, really don't want to deal with it and you really, really resist, then I think you leave this plane. You know, the heart attack gets you. And that's not in any way judgmental. That's just, you know, from a naturopath's perspective on the nature of illness and what it's trying, the love that's inherently in it, and that where it's trying to guide us. It's hard to make sense of it. It really, you know, I don't confess to understand it completely, but you know, it is fascinating.
It's totally fascinating, and we could talk for hours.
But we shouldn't.
But maybe if we just finish up here with a little bit more about your practice. You know, where can we find you? I'm going to put some links in the comments section once we get this uploaded. Just so people know where to find you. And what do people need to know about?
Yeah, if they're already your clients, Kate, listening, then, you know, I can support with the physical, the herbs, the whatever, to support the discomfort. So, you know, if it's adrenal fatigue, it can be the ginsengs and the rhodiolas that really give a little bit of a boost, or the nervous system herb to help with this, help open up the nervous system to make you feel a little bit more safer, so that you can have a better conversation with you.
Yes. If
they're not yet clients of yours, or they've just ended up watching this somehow, then, you know, it's the language of the body leading you to something other than a drug, perhaps, or as well as a drug, into understanding what is it that your compulsive eating or your sugar craving or your sore toe is you know, telling you. And then, you know, I might lead them onto you, Kate, or they, you know, I think there's the potential there for this sort of flow.
Because it dovetails so beautifully.
Yeah, it does. And I think for me, it's just getting contact. You know, I'm open to a conversation. You know, there's some people that it's not appropriate to work with me. And I'm getting better at discerning that, so that I can say, like I said to this lady yesterday who came here, it's like, well, if you want to do that coaching program, weight loss program, which tells you exactly what you should eat and gives you all these supplements, and that's going to tell you when you should exercise, and then go and do that. But I my approach is different. You can't do both. And so that's like, you choose where do you want to go first, second, where's your heart leading you? So it's a conversation. Or, you know, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I've got a website, I'm accessible, so, and I'm open to conversation, and that's
wonderful.
The best thing you can do.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just one step. It's like you just start asking the questions, and then things just, it's like opening a little crack in the door and just inviting in that possibility. Yeah.
You're amazing. Great work.
Oh, you are.
Counselling.
No, you are.
No, you are.
Well, I'm so grateful for you and for you being here today. It's really like, yeah, I'll say it again. We could talk for hours and hours, but we'll wrap it up there, and hopefully this reaches the right people. I'm going to send this out with an energy attachment to it, that it will reach the right people who need to find you, who need to start that journey. So thank you.
Yay.
Thanks, Brenda.
Yes,
Really appreciate
you
it.
too. Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.